So this video is going to be fairly long. By the way, today's the 4th. It's January. It's 2025. This video is going to be pretty long, but I'm going to try to cover several bases at one time. So bear with me. We're going to have to go back to 2017 to prove a point that I'm trying to prove, but I need people to understand that the road that I'm going down is for a reason. I really like to believe that we chose to be here. We're here. We just don't remember making the choice, but we're here for a reason, because if I wasn't doing this, my life wouldn't make any sense in any other way. You know what I'm saying? Seriously. I have to do this. I have no choice. And for those that were under the impression that I'm AI, well, you could say somebody's AI because you saw a video that looked like them or acted like them or had their mannerisms or whatever. But you couldn't have over 100 of them show up at the building that you're at and meet you, like I just did. But on that, Kathy, I'll digress. Here we go. Okay, what you're looking at right here is alleged, or I won't say alleged, fraudulent footage from the Mars rover. This is the Mars rover pointing its camera all around it, looking at the Milky Way, or what appears to be the Milky Way. You can get that exact same picture in Death Valley and in Moab. I've done the same. But, yep. Mars rover, because they're proving they're up on Mars, you know what I mean? They're on that star that's so very far away, even though we can't go back to the moon. But on that, I'll digress. It shows the rover again, so you can see that, Mars rover, they're clearly on Mars. Look at the color of the dirt. But look at that sky. But you know what the problem I have with this is this.
Armstrong, I do realize that when you were on the moon, you had very little time for gazing upwards. But could you tell us something about what the sky actually looks like from the moon, the sun, the earth, the stars, if any, and so on?
The sky is a deep black when viewed from the moon, as it is when viewed from cislunar space, the space between the Earth and the moon. The Earth is the only visible object other than the sun that can be seen, although there have been some reports of seeing planets. I myself did not see planets from the surface, but I suspect they might be visible.
The sky, of course, was black, but it had sort of a velvet sheen to it.
I've often tried to explain the difference between darkness, when you turn out the lights and it's dark in here, or blackness. Blackness is the endlessness of it all. It's hard to comprehend.
When you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
And here's another short that was just released by the Mars rover. And look at this. Look at this. This is real. Look at this. Amazing, right? Wow. You were up on the moon, but you don't recall. If you were up on the moon, you'd remember everything. I remember everything from the first girl I was ever with. I remember everything from the first time I got behind the wheel of a car. It was a 70 Camaro SS. I didn't have a driver's license yet. It was sitting in my grandmother's driveway, and I would go to her house every day, and I would do brake stands. But because I was a novice driver, I didn't realize while the tires are smoking and spinning, putting it back in the park would damage the transmission. Yeah, that was me. But these guys were on the moon, and they can't remember. There was no stars, not that I can recall. And when they're remembering it, they're remembering a script. They're not recalling a memory. But that's not enough for you to understand why the biblical cosmology clearly laid out in the Bible and in Confusion in Christianity. If you don't have that book yet, you should get it. Understanding biblical cosmology will take away 90% of the power these people have over you, because they're going to pull a massive deception, and all of it involves people from space. But how about this? I'm going to give you some straight physics, period. Straight physics that you cannot refute. If we lived on a ball, this weapon wouldn't work.
Physics doesn't lie, but the Pentagon does. In 2021, the United States Navy quietly killed the most powerful gun ever invented. They spent 15 years and $500 million trying to build a cannon that shoots with pure electricity. And then they gave up. They told Congress it was impossible. They said the barrels melted. They said the power supply was too big. They boxed up the future of warfare and let it gather dust in a warehouse in Virginia. But 6,000 miles away in a secret lab in Tokyo, someone wasn't listening. While the US was writing eulogies for the railgun, Japan was fixing it.
Now, I can't play all this video because they could take my video down, so I'm going to just leave a link below so you can watch the entire thing. But here's what they've done. Japan has done the railgun, something the United States started doing and probably finished. They just lie to us, like he said at the beginning of this video. But here's the thing. This thing can hit a target at Mach 7 up to 100 miles away, and it's a $25 piece of tungsten. It's not guided by wires. The entire gun is controlled by satellite-type entities and other electronics, but the projectile coming out, once it's shot, it goes straight to its target. That projectile is not controlled by anything. It's simply raw horsepower that they blow out of this thing, and they can do 120 shots, no problem. It's insane, and it's destructive as any weapon we have on Earth, which is probably why we have them, we just don't know. But it's a $25 piece of tungsten. And if there was even a little bit of a spherical shape to the Earth, this weapon wouldn't exist. It couldn't exist, but it does, and it works really, really well. The United States probably stopped making it or stopped talking about it because we were using it, because it's perfect to prove what the shape of the Earth actually is or isn't. Links to this video will be below.
Or is it globe, mate?
It's flat.
This is flat. Thank you very much, mate. God bless.
A man asked the pilot if the Earth is flat.
Can I talk to the pilot, please?
Right here.
You're the pilot?
Hi.
How long have you been flying for?
Like for Delta 21 years, but maybe like 30 something.
I want to know, because they say the pilots know a lot. Do you think the Earth is flat or no?
I know it's flat.
You know it's flat? How long have you been flying for, you said?
Over 30 years.
And when you tell people that, do they think you're like crazy or no?
Only one person.
Only one person?
Yeah.
They built it for a flat, stationary Earth. And my goal is for some young fighter pilot to listen to what I just said, go out tomorrow and set the bottom of your L strobe on your altitude, run it out there to 80 miles, and that bottom altitude on your cursor will stay the same.
Are you a pilot?
Yes, sir.
One question.
Okay.
When you descend in the air,
Yeah.
do you dip or do you go straight?
It's straight.
Straight?
A little more with the nose out. That's it.
But straight. You don't dip into the...
No.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, sir. All
Have a great day.
Did you notice any curvature while we were up there?
Curvature? No.
No? There's no curvature?
It's just all flat.
The pilots. Is the Earth flat or round?
Flat.
Thanks. I'm with you.
Now I can already hear it. I can hear your head shaking. Richie, you're ruining your credibility. No, actually I'm not. I'm not at all. The Earth is flat, okay? It's flat. It's encircled by ice. And the reason I'm stressing all of this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, like I said earlier, if you understand the true biblical cosmology of the Earth, as laid out in the King James, and confusion in Christianity doesn't rewrite the Bible. It simply backs up and shows you everything in the Bible that shows you what the shape of the Earth is. If you know the true biblical cosmology of the Earth, then they can't hit you with the aliens are here thing, okay? That's one thing that's out of the way. but it also would make it very easy for them to terraform the Earth. And what would they terraform the Earth for? I've been talking about this for over a decade. For entities that are not from our physical realm, that don't necessarily breathe, drink, eat the same things that we do whatsoever at all. I've already shown you the information that we found that shows that reptiles actually thrive with heavy metals. Heavy metals like barium, strontium, aluminum. And I find it really strange that Ba, I found this 15 years ago, Ba, barium, on the elemental chart, and Al, aluminum, are Bale. I just find that really strange. But let's go back to something I said almost a decade ago.
What we do here is go back.
Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. Today's the 12th of October. It's 2018, and you are looking at what you're looking at quite often on this YouTube channel. I have, since the day I started this channel, pretty much been covering chemtrailing and what it is they're doing in the skies above us. And it seems like not a lot of people give it a lot of thought, because what are you going to do about it? It's just contrails, it's just ice particles, it's just this, it's just that. They're hiding Nibiru, they're hiding the Dark Star, they're hiding Nemesis, they're hiding... Do you know what I really think they've been doing? And 𝗵𝗵𝗿𝗍 used to be on a radio show or a weekly program with me back in the day. Many of you probably don't know that, but the videos are still up in the playlists. But we posed the question that they could, in fact, be terraforming the planet. Now, what does terraforming mean? It means to alter the environment of a celestial body, quote unquote, in order to make capable of supporting terrestrial life forms. Well, Richie, that's just absolutely ridiculous. That's clearly not what they're doing. Or is it? Because if any of you follow science like I do and have been for a long, long time, you may have noticed that this is a meme they've been bandying about for quite a while. For instance, popular science. Mars is missing a lot of crucial terraforming ingredient, but according to NASA, according to the powers that be, according to the scientists of the world, they could simply go up to Mars and terraform the entire place to make it habitable for humanity. Here we go at public. This is WGBH. This is a local station that carries news stories like this all the time. And once again, making Mars ours, terraforming another planet. Popular science, once again, global warming could be the best way to terraform Mars. Finally, finally, a good use for climate change. Finally, a good use for climate change. Because if you look at these things right here that are above you in the sky pretty much almost every single solitary day, and you think that these wires with puffy stuff coming off them, these individual wires that go on for miles, are anything except chemicals and worse, probably terraforming of our planet, I don't know what to tell you. You see, we haven't seen the sun here in Boston for about, I'm going to say, we've probably had a couple of hours in the last few weeks, but that's it. That's all we're allowed. That's all they give us. But let me show you some video and some pictures I took last night with a Nikon P1000, shall I? This is last night, and as you can see, there's the ocean. This is actually Boston Harbor, and it is 9:15 at night. And as you can see, I'm getting really good footage of the sky completely and totally glowing. That's the night sky. This is over the ocean. There's the Atlantic Ocean. See the giant void? A little bit of a skyline right there. And this is what the sky looks like. Now, the only other places you're going to see skies like this normally would be in places where we're distributing freedom at the barrel of a gun. Let's say Afghanistan, Iraq. This is what the sky looks like when it's filled with gunpowder and other depleted uranium, things like that. It causes the skies to glow in the evening. This is the camera pointed right at Logan Airport. This is Logan Airport. This is a large body of water. So there should be very minimal light pollution. But as you can see, the entire skyline is lit up in certain specific areas. Because the stuff that they're spraying during the day, when we have rainy weather, so forth and so on, it kind of draws it down. But for people to think that they aren't terraforming our planet right now for somebody else, you're just not thinking correctly. That's all there is to it. I'll take the title conspiracy theorist and walk with it. I'll go to my grave being that dude that was the conspiracy theorist. But I'll tell you what, every single solitary one of my conspiracy theories comes from them. So as you can see, back in 2018, I was already referring to 5 years before that when me and Anthony Patch were doing bi-weekly live streams, if you remember. I can't find them. I really don't care to find them because the audio was always terrible back then. Not that it's great now, but it is what it is. But for them to be terraforming the planet for something else, plain, all right? I'm going to say planet because it is what it is. I'm almost 60, dude. I grew up 45 years of my life thinking the earth was round because they told us it was until I started investigating on my own. Fortunately, living across the street from the Atlantic Ocean helps out quite a bit because when you see the cargo ships go over the horizon, you can just zoom in and they come right back. You see what I'm saying? At any rate, now we're going to get into the crazy part of this entire thing, and that is they're called reptilians, okay? But I'm just going to call them demons. But the evidence of these things is absolutely everywhere. And one of the craziest places that I didn't even know about was in the Boston Public Library, the library that still stands in Boston, Massachusetts right now. How ironic is that? I've gone and seen the lunar landing module at the Boston Museum of Science. I've gone and seen the Dead Sea Scrolls, not once, not twice, but thrice. Once with my ex, once by myself, and once with a biblical scholar who went through everything verbatim. You couldn't take any pictures, none of that. And of course I tried. And the doors open like in a casino and they're out, hey, no cameras. But on that, I'll digress. Look what's inside the Boston Public Library. I mean, it's every place. It's just, I didn't know. I didn't get the memo. I apologize. So this is the inside of the Boston Public Library, and these are the John Singer murals. And as you can see, it's very beautiful in here. I mean, it's like a cathedral, because it is. And it's one of the oldest buildings in the state, as far as I know. Well, that's inaccurate. It's the 8th oldest library in the country. And look at it. I mean, it looks like your average courthouse. It looks like the average building, a government building that they claim that we built with, hammers and chisels, etc. But what's really interesting about this particular place is this mural way over here at the end of the hallway. And you're not going to believe this. This is just insane. But this is what's painted inside the Boston Public Library for whatever reason. When you walk down the hallway here, you come to the end, and then there's this giant portrait right here. Let's zoom in on that, shall we? To see if you can actually see what's in there. You literally have an image of Baal right there, sitting in his throne with his arms out, as always, waiting for a child to be deposited in his arms, which is amazing that this is in a public library, but that's not even the worst of it. There's also Anunnaki and reptilians. I mean, reptilians. But look at this stuff. We'll get to the reptilians, but look at this. How insane is all of this, man? This is in a public library in Boston, hidden in plain sight. This is totally a trip to me. I didn't know this was there, or I would have been there. You've got pharaohs fighting kings with slaves reaching up, and as you can see, the pharaoh and the king are both much larger than these people down here because there were giants in those days and also will be again when the Son of Man returns. But then it gets even worse than this, because look at this. Right there is a reptilian, as well as all sorts of other biblical and historical things that have occurred that they've claimed haven't occurred over the years. But this stuff has all been carved in stone, one way or the other, giants and reptilian or reptoid-shaped people, rulers, kings, etc. This stuff was all very, very real, and I'm believing that they're trying to bring these people back, and I'm thinking we're already starting to see it, to the point where disclosure has to happen. Civilizations throughout history have made carvings just like the ones you're looking at right now. Now, these carvings wouldn't make any sense if they had never seen things like this, and these are all over the world, and they all looked remarkably similar to places they theoretically couldn't have had contact with, but now we know they have, because the rulers, the elites, the teachers, the professors have lied to us throughout history about absolutely everything. It's the ultimate control. And this is from the Los Angeles Times in the late 1800s? I'm sorry, 1934. There was a catacomb city of tunnels underneath Los Angeles, and I mean, this was a real thing. The old newspapers showed the proof. That's why they had to buy all the mainstream media and consolidate everything. And I believe this is exactly why we're seeing this. Unbelievable chemical trailing all over the place. And if you can see in this one, I started recording this because there's two chemtrails crossing, and one is a clearly white compound and one is a clearly black compound. So they're spraying all sorts of stuff up there. They've ramped it up like I've never seen before. I haven't filmed chemtrails in the longest time until the last year. I mean, it's picked up exponentially. And you got to understand, there were all sorts of crazy things on this earth that the Bible talks about, and people just think of it as allegory or, parables or whatever. No, there were giants in those days and will be again when the Son of Man returns. Like this. Because here's actual proof of it. That's it right there. That big broken mountain was the cave. You can still go inside the cave, don't get me wrong. Actually, let's do that. I'm going to bring you got to hike up the front of this mountain to get to the entrance of the cave, and I'm going to bring you right inside the cave and show it to you from many angles. How's that? And then after the fact, I'll tell you the history, and then show you the actual proof that 𝗏𝗏𝗡 actually called these things giants as well. So it isn't just some myth. These were giants, just like the Paiute said they were. So like I said, to get up there, you got to walk up a path to get into the entrance, which I put a red circle around. And there's a pathway that goes from left to right, from the entrance all the way down to the side. And there's a very thin goat path, basically, or a bighorn sheep path that you need to climb up in order to get there. So that's what I did. I got to the cave late in the day, so I did an initial walkthrough with a Canon EOS R5 with a 15 to 35 millimeter lens on it. And then I returned the following morning and did it again with a GoPro. So you're going to be able to see both vantage points, because I covered this mountain pretty much like no one else that I know of, because I've never seen footage like this. So you're probably going to enjoy it. But this entire mountain, this entire discovery is kind of batshit. And I say that because bat guano was an improbable boom commodity around the turn of the last century. They used bat guano for fuel, like we use propane now. You know what I'm saying? It was an important ingredient in fertilizer before artificial nitrogen fixation had been invented. And every bat cave became the center of a burst of mining activity, and Nevada's Lovelock Cave was no exception. In their excavations, the miners encountered Native American artifacts, which they largely discarded in a heap outside the cave. Only when the artifacts started to hinder the operation did professional archaeologists come involved in excavating the cave properly. Unsurprisingly, the mining had seriously damaged the archaeological record of this site, and as word got out that artifacts had been found, looters added to the destruction. Later, archaeologists even referred to their work as a salvage operation, which is sad. Still, much information was recovered, and the Lovelock Cave remains one of the best documented archaeological sites in the Great Basin in Nevada to this day. Now, I gleaned this information from Atlas Obscura. I don't go to Wikipedia because Wikipedia pushes all the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, etc., their beliefs. They want you to believe in evolution, and yet there's literally proof, positive, of giants all over the United States, all over the world. And in this video right here, not only do I cover it, but I give you the link so you can check it yourself. Things like this. I've saved and linked the University of California, Berkeley's digital collections, and they have a long, detailed write-up on Lovelock Cave from 1929. Subject, Paiute Indians, Antiquities. The only problem is the Paiute said that these people had nothing in the world to do with them, and the fact that many of them were found with double rows of teeth, meaning they had 2 rows of teeth and 6 fingers and 6 toes on every hand. Okay? These guys documented that right here, and it's still here to this day, as well as Abraham Lincoln. Fragments of notes regarding Niagara Falls where he speaks about giants in pretty good detail. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a secret. It only became a secret because giants ended up in the news constantly when people were out plowing their fields and discovering that they had 8, 9, and 10 foot tall skeletons in their fields buried inside large mounds. Well, that all changed in like 1947. You never saw another write-up. But like I said, in this video right here, I documented all of this. And I'm saying all of it. Everything is right here. All the information, all the proof you could possibly need. But this proof goes against evolution. Because if evolution were real, which is still only a theory, but people think it's completely real, we wouldn't be getting larger. You know what I mean? If we were evolving, we weren't giants and then got smaller. So it is what it is. At any rate, back to the video. Okay, so Lovelock Cave overlooks the Humboldt Sink, where the landlocked Humboldt River ends. It is still a wetland. Even now, it will form Humboldt Lake in wet years, and the area would have provided abundant resources for early indigenous people. The Paiutes, a Native American tribe in Nevada, passed down a story orally of a race of giant red-haired, quote-unquote, barbarians called the Țitica. The story goes the giant race were defeated at Lovelock Cave and that perhaps some of the artifacts uncovered there were connected to the ancient people. What they meant was the people that were farming the bat guano literally found the bones, found the skulls, etc., and so did the guys from UC Berkeley, and they called them giants because they were giants, and they had 6 fingers and 6 toes. Now, I've run into that in petroglyphs all over the deserts of Moab, all in the surrounding areas, and I'll tell you something. If somebody went through the trouble of carving this, I'm on a mountainside, and it just started hailing like you read about. This is not the place to be currently. But when you're searching for petroglyphs or evidence of fallen angels carved in stone, this is the place to be. Oh my. They're actual pictographs that I'm standing in front of, petroglyphs that are located in the deserts of Arizona and Moab. And I can't help but notice that even back in these times, these people went through all the trouble of drawing these things while they were trying to feed themselves, clothe themselves, protect themselves from other tribes, so forth and so on. But if you notice in this video, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then right next to it is a larger foot with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 toes. Now, I go on to tell you in this video that it isn't just one time. It's 3 separate times on this this pictograph, or petroglyph, whatever you'd like to call it. But these things are scattered all over the country. And this is one that I found in the middle of the desert. It shows a woman giving birth, apparently, next to what appears to be a giant. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think they went through all the trouble to make two separate feet. One's drastically larger and different. One's got 5, the other's got 6. These people were trying to warn us. That's why you carve things in stone. I'm sure they were all well aware of the great flood that came and washed everything away. Well, you can't really wash rocks away. No, you can't. But what you can do is change history and rewrite history, and that's exactly what they've done. Because in our lifetime alone, black holes went from being something theoretical to being completely proven. Evolution went from a theory to being completely proven. The Big Bang went from a theory to being completely proven, even though none of them were proven. They simply rewrote it, which is what they're doing. And now with the advent of computers, tablets, cell phones, texting, etc., it's even easier now because they can change any answer to match any answer that they happen to need at the time. I myself have spent the last 11 years going out and trying to find these things out for myself. I've found numerous petroglyphs. Unfortunately, that computer with all my really good footage on it got stolen, which is why I had to download from an older video I did years back. But I've gone out into the deserts, I've talked to the Native Americans, I've listened to their stories, and I've looked at their carvings. Why in the world would you spend all the time, energy, and effort to sit down and carve 2 feet in stone, one small, one large, one with 5 toes, and one with 6, if none of this were true in any way whatsoever at all? The burial mounds for Native Americans are all over the United States of America. And when they were uncovered, they discovered that there were things like 4-foot-tall battle axes made out of the most high-quality copper and bronze of the time. We're talking 99.1% pure copper, stuff that we can't find to this day. And yet these guys found it no problem whatsoever at all. So there you go. So now hopefully you understand why they're spraying the skies. They're literally terraforming the earth, and I've been thinking that for over a decade, and many others have figured out as well. It does so many things because these guys are getting information from fallen entities, okay? They're getting all the information from entities that actually stood there when God spoke everything into existence. Now, they know how to do it, but they can't create. So men are tricked with power and wealth and authority, etc., to build these things. And they're building these things like CERN, things like ITER, things like data centers. Why does the United States have 4,300 data centers, which is more data centers than the entire rest of the world combined? Because America is going to be completely wiped out right now. They're literally using the United States military to take all the wealth that they possibly can from whomever for whatever reason, and people are good with it. People are actually cheering for it. The delusion is deep, but when the aliens show up or when it's announced, you'll know better. These things have been here all along, and they're not from outer space. They're from other dimensions, which is why NASA does nothing and CERN is quietly chugging along. And CERN's not the only large hadron collider on Earth whatsoever at all. I tell you that all the time. These guys have been breaking into other dimensions and bringing back information and apparently entities because we're starting to see UFOs like we've never seen before. At any rate, I hope this made sense to you. Richie from Boston. It's getting dark. I've been working on this a long time. I'm out.